Welcome to the first of a multi-part series on how to define a public health use case for interoperability. In this session, we'll be examining why it's important to create non-technical descriptions of critical public health data sharing use cases and how to go about doing that. In this first part, we will look at the theory of defining a use case. Later, we'll provide a real-life example by walking through an actual documented use case so that you can get a sense of what one looks like. Let's get started. In this section, we'll be answering three major questions. Why should you spend time and effort on defining a use case? What are the parts of a use case that should be explored? And how do you go about actually documenting the use case? By the end of this presentation, you'll be able to describe the benefits of documenting use cases and organize a use case definition activity for yourself. When working with public health agencies, we have recognized three key benefits to documenting interoperability use cases as a prelude to implementing technical solutions to existing gaps in data sharing. First, defining use cases in advance creates a catalog of potential projects to implement. Often funding opportunities arise quickly and public health must be ready to act. And having a set of shovel-ready ideas to include in a response to a call for proposals can greatly simplify the process. Second, defining use cases upfront ensures that the functional needs of frontline public health staff are the focus of any interoperability solutions that are developed. High-level, non-technical write-ups are a great way to translate your everyday needs into a package that can be shared with data submitters, technical partners, and your own leadership to make the case for developing solutions that work for you. And finally, when it comes time to develop and implement actual solutions, use case definitions can serve as a foundation for more detailed and technical discussions, as well as acting as a sanity check during the implementation process to ensure that the solutions being developed meet the original needs. For these reasons, we see this process as a key activity for public health programs. So, what are the parts of a use case definition? Ultimately, a use case description should include all of the information that you will need to socialize an idea and build support for a project. Not all definitions have to look the same, but these are some key topics to consider including in your documents. In addition to providing an overall description of the use case, it's important to identify the current processes, actors, and roles associated with the use case. This can include elements or activities that are particularly time-consuming or ineffective today. Think about what events trigger the exchange of data and what data needs to be part of that exchange. These don't need to be detailed descriptions, but they should give a reader a good understanding of the type of data that is needed. You may also want to document who uses the data and for what purpose. This will help you describe how all participants will benefit from improved data interoperability. But in the end, be sure to understand your use case and your audience so that you can include the information that matters most. The process of defining a use case is often split into three phases. First is the preparation phase. This is where you generate ideas for use cases to document and identify the right individuals and perspectives to include in future activities. Second is the discussion phase, where you use interactive, facilitated sessions to explore the existing processes and identify areas for improvement. And finally, there's the documentation phase, where you write down the information gathered in the discussion phase before reviewing with your participants to ensure that it reflects their experiences and needs. So who needs to be involved in the exploration of a use case? Two key participants are the meeting facilitator and the use case subject matter experts. The facilitator is responsible for identifying the right people to bring together, for leading the exploration of the use case, and for documenting the discussion. The use case SMEs provide expert real-world knowledge about the workings of the use case, the data that is required to support program activities, and existing pain points and shortcomings. It's the lives of the use case SMEs that you are aiming to improve over time. Other potential participants can include data integration and governance SMEs who understand existing approaches and requirements to data sharing within your organization, and technical SMEs who can contribute insight into the systems involved in the use case and their current and future capabilities. It is important to convey to all participants that at this stage, discussions should remain descriptive and relatively non-technical. This is not the time to propose specific solutions or to explore weedy technical issues. This process is all about defining program needs and areas to improve. During the discussion phase, there are a few key areas to explore. These include the overall goal of the use case, the type of data involved, the source of data, and the usage of that data. Discussion should spend most of the time on how data is acquired and used today, and specifically where there are current processes which are inadequate or resource intensive. But underlying all of this is the key question of how does everyone, public health, data submitters, and downstream users, benefit from greater data interoperability. Now that we have the ball teed up, are you ready to give it a try? Join us in the next part of this series to see how a facilitated discussion results in a real-world use case description. Thank you for joining us.